Hello my friends, David Kessler here and welcome back to the studio. So today let me give you 5 tips for any beginning painters out there. 5 things that I think are probably the most important 5 things that you need to know if you're going to start painting, or if you want to start painting or you want to try to become an artist, or however you want to put that. And the first and most important thing is to learn the design fundamentals. And you need to learn this first because this is the foundation for every single thing that you'll do as a painter or an artist or whatever you want to call yourself. Knowing how to make shapes, work with colors, manipulate your values, all these things are very, very important. The most important. And if you don't learn those early, then all the things that you do after that are going to suffer because you don't know the basics of design fundamentals. I mean, that's much more important than learning how to, work with brushes and paint initially. That shouldn't be your first thing. Your first thing should be learning the design fundamentals. Number 2 would be to learn how to draw. I run into so many students and they have no idea how to draw. They think, well, I'm just going to be an abstract painter. I don't need to know how to draw. Well, you need to know how to draw if you're going to call yourself an artist. Pretty simple, pretty basic. You have to be able to draw. There's plenty of places, I'm sure locally, wherever you are, that you can take classes to learn how to draw. And if not, there's plenty of resources and courses online for you to learn from. So number 1 is learn the design fundamentals. Number 2, learn how to draw. Number 3, experiment enough to find paints. If you want to be a painter, find the paints and the brushes and the things that you'll need that work the best for you. And I can tell you all day long what I use, but none of that makes any difference. It could be a starting point for you. But what matters is that you take the time to investigate paints and brushes. You figure out what you like, what fits your hand, what works for you, what makes the kind of line work and the kind of brush work and everything on a painting that feels right to you. So that's very important to find materials that fit with the way you want to paint and that are comfortable for you. All right. Number 4, and this one is really important. You have to be patient of slow growth. Painting, any kind of art endeavor, and painting in particular, that's why people spend their whole life trying to figure out how to do it, because it's difficult. It's difficult. So don't get discouraged if things aren't going your way. It takes a long time to be a good painter. And I know people that jump in and say, oh, well, I can do this in a year or 2 years or whatever. Well, good luck. You can learn the basics and you can learn how to manipulate materials, but it takes experience to be a better painter. So please don't get discouraged. You got to hang in there. You got to be tenacious. You got to learn the stuff and you got to keep at it. And if you do that, you can be a good painter. All of these things that I'm listing here are teachable and learnable. You don't have to have any sort of quote-unquote talent to do it. Talent in painting doesn't mean anything, right? It just takes work. So if you're willing to work at it and take the time to learn it, you'll be good at it. As simple as that. Number 5, please, please, please don't think that every painting has to be a masterpiece, and don't expect every painting you do to be good, because they're not going to be good. And at first they're going to suck a lot, most of them. So don't get discouraged by that. I mean, I've been painting 30 years and nearly half of what I paint sucks, right? But it doesn't bother me. I don't worry about it. I simply move on to the next painting. Right? Life's too short to worry about whether a painting's good or whether it's not good. Just move on. Don't worry about it. They're not always going to be good. And don't spend a lot of time early, rather don't spend a lot of money early on buying fancy canvases and all kinds of stuff to paint on. Get some lower cost papers of some sort you know, or panels or whatever, and put some gesso on it and paint on those. Paper's great because you can just throw it away. You know, and it doesn't take much to store it or anything. Don't think you have to have all these finished paintings when you're starting as a painter. Because number one, if you get a fancy surface to paint on, it's going to immediately tighten you up. But if you have paper which is disposable, right, you won't think anything about just going at it on the paper. And maybe that's just a sketchbook with larger sheets and heavy paper that you're going to use. But don't get caught up in this thing that you think every single painting has to be good and you can fix every painting. No, you can't fix every painting. A lot of paintings are just going to suck. And every artist knows that. Every professional artist knows that. Right? No artist I know has ever created every single painting as a good painting. It just doesn't happen. It's not reality. Right? So don't get hung up on that. All right? So I hope these 5 things are helpful for you. I wish I'd have known those 5 things when I started. It would have made things so much easier for me. All right, so number 1, learn the design fundamentals. Number 2, learn how to draw. Number 3, find materials that you're comfortable with and feel good to you. Number 4, be patient of slow growth because it's going to be a slow process to be a painter. And number 5, don't think everything has to be a masterpiece. All right, thanks for watching. I hope it was helpful for you. And I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.